My name is Tim Kirsch. I'm originally from New Jersey. I have moved here to South Carolina. I've been here now 18 years. And the one thing that I do enjoy in life is going to the range and shooting. My life before my injury, I loved to work. I worked in construction. I was an athlete. I played soccer for over 25 years and I was still playing. I would go out with my friends as much as I could. So the first injury happened in 1999 when I was working and I had pipe fall on me. The next day I couldn't get up out of bed. They got me in with an orthopedic and got an MRI, and that's when he told me you blew 3 discs out and that it is going to require surgery. So they did the surgery, but over time the disc above the fusion started wearing out. One day I felt a pop. Went back to them and they said a disc above the fusion blew. That's when they said you're going to have to change your line of work. And I did. I changed jobs and I became a tech on washers and dryers. And then one day I got a new van. It was raining and I went inside the van to grab the part I needed and my feet just went out underneath me because it was bare metal on the van still. None of the matting was put down. 2 discs above that fusion blew because of it. So that was when they told me, you know what, you're pretty much not going to be able to work after having this surgery done. So I had that done and now I'm fused my whole lumbar up into a little bit of my thoracic. So everything was going pretty good. And then over time, though, I started slouching over more and more. So we've seen a neurosurgeon in Philadelphia. After he looked at all the x-rays and MRIs, he knew right away. He says, you have flat back syndrome. You're losing curvature of your spine because of the way your fusion is. He said the way to fix it, they call it breaking the back. They cut wedges into your spine, take out all the old hardware, put all new in. So I went and did it. And this is September 2015. It was supposed to be a 2-day surgery. And it went great the first day. He was actually really happy. They had everything set up. And at the end, the machine went out, saying I lost everything from my waist down. It was the CAT scan where at T7 there was blood, and that's when they said I had a spinal stroke. 2 or 3 days after the original surgery is when they finally woke me up. It was one of his assistants, and he was doing some things with me, and he's like, "Can you feel this? Can you feel that?" And I'm like, "No, I don't feel anything." So he called the surgeon in, and he explained it to me what happened, and then, of course I was like, you're full of it. You did something wrong. Just admit it. And he's like, no, we did everything right. He says, you had a spinal stroke at T7 area. And I'm like, I've never even heard of that. I said, I've heard of a stroke, but a spinal stroke? He's like, yeah, it's basically the same thing that happens with a regular stroke as it just happens in the spinal cord. They said, we're going next week, the surgery scheduled to finish it. So they finished the surgery, went to rehab. I was there for about a month and a half. My adjuster at the time said, listen, Tim, he says, I'm flying you out of there. He says, I'm sending you to one of the best. He says, it's closer to home. I'm sending you down to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta. And that's where I spent the rest of the 6-7 months. And that's when I finally pretty much got a grip of what happened. But what really made me believe that it was the spinal stroke, when I met 2 more people that were there that had spinal strokes. Then I finally believed, you know what? The surgeon probably didn't do anything wrong then. It's a real thing. And it just doesn't come from surgery. It just happens. The one lady I met, all she was doing was picking weeds in her flower bed and just collapsed and fell over. She lost the same thing from her waist down. So my level of injury, that they say it's T7 incomplete. When I was at the Shepherd Center, 3 months in, one day we were doing therapy, PT, and I said to the therapist, I said, this hurts. He's like, what hurts? I said, down in between my legs where the catheter is. So they called the doctor down. He says, we're going to pull it out and you get 3 times to go to the bathroom on your own. That day, when I had to go, I had to let them know. 3rd time, I fully was able to relieve it, and I didn't look back since then. It was like a month after that where they were doing the bowel program, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I can feel all this. Then my right leg came back. And I think that's about 90% to this day. I knew I wasn't going back to work because right before that surgery, they already started the process of telling me I'm probably going to have to apply for Social Security disability. I always wondered still, though, would I ever be able to get to the point of maybe doing part-time work? My first few years after the injury, I knew I couldn't. The first year, yeah, it was rough. The depression, at that point, I really couldn't do anything. It was hard to transfer. They had a home health aide here for when my wife wasn't here when she was at work. And that was rough. They had to do some more modifications to the house, and they had to put me up at a hotel. And they were like, do you want the home health aide to come there when needed? I said, no, I want to start tackling this stuff on my own. I started learning to do everything at that hotel by myself, when my wife wasn't there. I still did things while she was there, to be safe. Started learning to cook. I started learning to shower and use the wand and soap myself up, and not being so scared about leaning over and falling over because my core was starting to get stronger. And I called them after a few weeks and said, yeah, you can cancel that. I don't need a home health aide anymore. Yeah, I cook every single day now because my wife works, and I have that meal on the table when she gets home every night. Don't even get me started on barbecue, and I'm a master at that. Like, I got a barbecue, I got a smoker. I'll use that smoker 4 times a week. When I talk about the depression, this psychiatrist that they sent me to is a blessing. She has been unbelievable in making me understand things. Also, my wife has helped with it. Family has helped with it. And then also, I will say, getting involved with the community, peer support, then becoming part of the South Carolina Spinal Cord Board. Now, my depression wasn't bad to where I, one thought about ending it all, no. I would just sit around and not want to do nothing. I think it's worse for when people can't get a grip of their injury and they just sit in a room and just look at walls all day. I think that's the worst thing you can do. And I'm glad that I got over that, just sitting around the house. I went back to the Shepherd Center. After leaving there, I went back a year later for their outpatient program, and they had an outing to the range. And I went on it, and I was like, wow, you can still shoot from a wheelchair. You can still have fun. And that was huge. That helped me to do something that I always enjoyed. The injury took a toll on relationships with friends and even my wife. So yes, I was married long before my injury. In the beginning, I wasn't able to do nothing. So everything fell on her, cooking, cleaning, helping me get dressed, driving me everywhere, because at that time I wasn't ready to drive. But as I started learning to do everything, it just changed everything because it took the stress off of her. If you're injured and you have a spouse or anyone special in your life that's with you, always make sure they're doing okay. When family and friends call and you're on the phone, don't always ask about me. How are you? How are you? How is your wife? How is she handling it? It just isn't on the person who's injured. They have someone else important in their life. It's on them too. As for friends, I found out who my true friends were and who wasn't. Because I'm originally from Jersey, and that's where all my friends are. To see only a few come and visit me when I was there for months, I realized quick who were good friends and who wasn't. And I'm glad for that. But now I've made plenty of friends here in the South. Me and the neighbor, we're great. We go out a lot. He goes shooting with me. I've met other friends through therapies that we became good friends now. My proudest achievement since my injury, I walked my daughter down the aisle of her wedding last year. This time last year, it took a lot of therapy, braces, a walker, and I did. I walked her all the way down to the aisle. But as of other ones, no, it's doing everything that I do now. Cooking, barbecuing, going shooting. I mentioned before I wasn't ready to drive, but I've been driving for years now with the hand controls and all that. But as for the future, I want to go on a cruise. My daughter, her husband, they go on one every year. And that's what we're talking now. The whole family, like his mom and dad, us, friends that want to go. I would do anything to walk again. And I don't care if it was a messed up walk where I had to walk with a walker. Is it that important for me to enjoy life? No. If it doesn't happen, I understand. I get it, now. I have for years. When I meet someone for the first time that's new to an injury, the first thing I just tell them, don't give up. Always move forward. Learn and adapt to everything around you. And when you do, you will have a good life. And if you don't succeed on something, keep trying. Don't give up. You can't do something today, doesn't mean you can't do it tomorrow.